Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining today's webinar. We'll just give it a few seconds as our attendees join. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rania Saadawi. I'm the Executive Director of the Pearl Initiative, and it is our honor and pleasure today to be co-hosting today's webinar session in collaboration with NAMA Women Advancement Establishment, a longtime partner and friend of the Pearl Initiative. We will begin now with our welcoming remarks from Her Excellency Reimbunce, the Director of NAMA. Your Excellency. Your Excellency, if you can unmute yourself, please.
Sorry about that. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's always a pleasure to be with one of the events that the Pearl Initiative hosts, and which is always, we're always very proud as NAMA for our collaboration. And I'd like to also extend my congratulations and, in continuing the festivities and the continuous festivities of the celebration of the International Women's Day. So happy International Women's Day to all you wonderful people out there. I think it is an opportunity for this year to draw attention to a topic that is very close to our hearts and close to the core mission of NAMA Women Advancement Establishment, and that is advancing women in the workplace. It's great to see that us all being here today is a clear indicator of our commitment to that goal. I welcome this discussion on the vital role that corporate governance and corporate boards can play. It benefits us all to keep in mind that the advancement of women is fundamental to a sustainable development of nations. Inclusive workplaces combine the best minds and skills. They uphold principles of equality and equity and are often far more productive. According to McKinsey's, companies with more women in higher management score better on indicators of organizational performance. From that perspective, we can make a gender equality case for advancing women in the workplace on one hand, and on the other hand, we can actually make a business case out of it. Well, since both cases need to be better understood, NAMA Women Advancement Establishment launched Irtiqa, a platform where businesses in the global south can actually come together and learn about the business and social value of women's economic inclusion. Irtiqa offers ideas, practical tools, and new partnerships for businesses to create inclusive workplaces and reach diversity and inclusion goals. They can collaborate with other businesses and obviously share know-how. Businesses by default will have the opportunity to join a global movement because NAMA works with them in taking up an expanded version of the women's empowerment principles set by the United Nations. At NAMA, we've always stressed that it is time to take down the barriers and preconceptions that stand between women and the advancement opportunities in their workplaces, and be proactive in creating a gender diverse business ecosystem. We are clearly making a contribution to the goal here today. I would like to extend my gratitude to the two inspiring role models who have joined us today and whom, by sharing their stories, are directly influencing a new generation to shape gender diverse and inclusive practices as a strategy to enhance business performance. I'm also particularly pleased that NAMA has another opportunity to join the Pearl Initiative, our valued partner, in ongoing dialogue on good business practices and gender diversity. Together, we are making a case that benefits women across the region while transforming business and the economy for the better. So thank you all for being here today, and I wish you a great session. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for your inspiring words and warm welcome. Indeed, the Pearl Initiative and NAMA have been longtime partners working on conducting regionally based research in the UAE and Gulf region, highlighting the business case and the need for diversity in business leadership. So today, in celebration of International Women's Day, I really am honored to be moderating this panel discussion featuring two prominent female business leaders from Saudi Arabia and the UAE. I have with me Ms. Rana Zumai, who is the head of corporate communications at Nesma Holding, a privately owned Saudi Arabia company with corporate headquarters in Jeddah. Rana has extensive experience in human development projects for women and people of determination. She also serves as a board member in the Saudi Technical College and is an official consultant for entrepreneurs and small and medium enterprises, SMEs, in Saudi Arabia. Thank you, Rana, for joining us today. I'm also pleased to welcome Maryam Zaman, who is a partner and head of corporate governance services in KPMG Lower Gulf region and is based in the UAE. Maryam has more than 15 years of experience providing risk consulting services to clients across multiple sectors in the UAE, Gulf region, and the United States. She has managed various corporate governance assignments, including the development of various corporate governance manuals, management committee charters, code of ethics, company secretary policy and procedures, and insider trading policies. Our two panelists today will share their personal experience and reflection on how they became corporate leaders, particularly highlighting how their respective companies and organizations created an enabling environment that supported their advancement in their career. Specifically, we hope to cover on today's panel discussion the role of top leadership and diversity on corporate boards, as well as policies that companies can implement to not just build a strong female workforce, but actually retain strong female talent. And finally, different practices and values and how they become embedded to shape a company culture for females to flourish. We always aim to make our sessions here at the Pearl Initiative interactive. So throughout our session, we'll be posing some questions to you, the audience, and we encourage you to attend, to answer the questions and engage in our polls. We also encourage you to please ask questions using the Q&A function throughout the discussion. We will do our best to answer as many as we can throughout the session that we have 45 to 50 minutes. And with that, I would like to start our discussion and pose a question to our two panelists. Let's start by discussing why is it important to discuss the role of women in the workplace in the Gulf region? Maryam, if you would like to start.
Sure. Thank you very much for that, Rania, and thank you everybody for joining this session today. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. To answer your question, Rania, I'll start off by first, quoting some studies that actually show that in the MENA region, there's a population of educated and qualified women who are not engaged in any economic activity. So what that means is that there's national economies and organizations who are losing out on this potential labor force. To be more specific, in the UAE, it's been estimated that if you actually are able to have an equal number of men and women in the workforce, that would increase the national GDP by approximately 12%. So the UAE recognizes that, and that's why there's various regulatory authorities who are promoting increased representation of females on boards and women empowerment in the workforce. That's at the national level. But if you even look at it at an individual organization level, having a diverse workforce and gender balance leads to better decision making, more creative and innovative solutions, and inclusion will make all of your employees more engaged and motivated. And obviously all of that will ultimately result in better financial performance. So there's multiple reasons why we need to discuss the role of women in the corporate world. In fact, in the past 1 year during the pandemic, we're able to witness so many instances wherein female leaders help their respective organizations to become more resilient. And that's because of their unique abilities to be more empathetic towards their employees, towards their clients. And that's actually had a very, very positive impact on these organizations. So that's another reason why we believe gender balance and the role of females in the corporate world actually can have such benefits to organizations and their resilience. So that's just some of my point of view around the reasoning why we actually do need to focus on women in the workforce.
That's amazing. And thank you for that and those statistics as well. It's incredible to see how the GDP would grow by double digits from just having a balanced workforce. On that note, the same question really to you, Rana. Why are we discussing the role of women in the corporate world here in the Gulf region?
First of all, I would like to thank you, Rania, to host me here with this great panel, especially on the occasion of International Women's Day, which is really active this year across the Gulf region and in the world, and that's make us really happy. For the kingdom, I think it's not special, it's the iconic situation because of our vision. All the success, not only in the Women Matters, we rely to our vision, which is come as an ambitious and inclusive vision. The women has a big part from this country or national vision. So the witness of that today, last month, there is announced about regarding the kingdom reaching the first rank in the amendment of regulation and policies regarding empowerment women. And this indicates the kingdom's leadership keens to provide all the facilities and the tools that achieve the goals of the ambitious vision by empowering women, and which represent women as a fundamental reason to an active partner to achieve this national vision. Actually, as I told you, Rania, and everyone around me, that this vision come to make everything clear, and the women has a big part of that vision to achieve and to empower as well. So the reason in Saudi Arabia is very clear that because of that very straight and powerful vision.
It's incredible to see that the national strategies in both the UAE, Saudi Arabia, and indeed across the Gulf is really helping to set these really strong, ambitious goals in Vision 2030 and others like it. And I'm curious as well to go down to the company level. So as probably one of our poll questions for the audience, if we can pull up that poll, we would love for our audience to respond to this question as well. Is there's this national strategy to increase and provide inclusivity and female career growth, and indeed there's the business case for it. Do you feel that your company or organization's leadership supports female career growth currently at your organization? I would like if the audience will spend a few seconds to let them answer the question. And really, as they're answering the question, I really want to pose this question to Rana and Maryam. Rana, specifically in your experience in Saudi Arabia with such a bold vision, 2030, you know, the kingdom has witnessed a big change in period in just a few years and creating a more inclusive workforce. What is the role of Nesma Holding and the leadership there in supporting you and your advancements in the workplace there?
Actually, some women, including myself, I was lucky to have had the opportunity to start working in company with workplace inclusive one like Nesma. The honor itself and the president today, the second generation following the first generation as an owner and the founder of Nesma, they really believe of the status that women is the big part of the success of the work and business. actually they have the ability to assume the responsibility and the trust to provide the competence which women use in their management. And they believe that the diversity has a lot of benefit to their business. And that doesn't mean that the beginning were no challenge for me here in NESMA. Of course, it was a challenge as a first GM with the top management as a woman, and the competition and was high. But the most important things that the change happened with the vision of Saudi Arabia come. So then I was lucky to have that management support and the nation and the culture support. Before the vision, I had the full support from my management, representing by the owner and the president today and the VP. But the culture was always challenging me and always putting the rock on the way, which I was jumping on to pass by and learning more, which make me today one of the powerful Saudi women in leadership position and volunteering executive in many areas. So I was glad to face that, but I'm always feel happy that the coming generation will be will find the land ready for them to start immediately, inshallah.
You made a really good point. In order to shift the culture, you need both from the company, private sector, and personal stewardship and leadership of company leaders, but also of the regulation and the vision of a government as well. And I think this really goes to my next question, really for Maryam, which goes a little bit deeper into one is really encouraging women into the workforce. And a lot of data has shown, while in many different sectors, entry-level positions begin with 50-50 female to male ratio. But as we move to middle and top management, female participation really decreases exponentially. Maryam, I wonder if you can talk about how companies can enable women to grow and really help retain them, especially as they mature in their lives as well as their careers. Touching on your personal experiences as a female leader, but also how KPMG supported you in this process.
Sure, it's a very valid question, Rania, and something that is very personal to me. So I will share my personal story around this topic. So throughout my career of 15 years with KPMG, I genuinely believe that the senior leadership has consistently, and I'm going to stress on that word, consistently, valued my contributions ever since I was a fresh graduate out of college up until now. They've provided me with plenty of opportunities to champion new initiatives, launch new solutions, participate as a keynote speaker at events, even in the earlier years of my career, and allowed me to lead challenging and unique projects. And all of that proved to me as an individual that the firm trusts me, values me, and I'm an asset to KPMG. You know what that did to me throughout my career? It built my confidence in my interactions with my team, with my peers, with my leaders, and my clients. And it's because of that confidence of where I am today. And all of it started from a very, very young age. Now, I'll tell you a little bit of my personal story about becoming a working mom, which wasn't too long ago. Actually, I gave birth to my first baby boy 1 year ago. And of course, I was a bit anxious about managing work-life balance. And the predicament that I was in was that I still wanted to continue to excel in my career because I actually love what I do. But at the same time, I've always wanted to be a good mom and I wanted to spend quality time with my baby. So the first thing that actually gave me a bit of relief was that KPMG had recently changed our maternity leave policies to give at least a minimum of 3 months of paid leaves. You can combine it with your annual leave. And of course, you can take as many unpaid leaves as you need in order to manage your baby at home, your family commitments, etc. And I knew that if I needed to spend that additional time with my son, then I had that choice. And when I told the KPMG leadership that I'm expecting a baby, the way they responded, the way they made me feel comfortable and gave me the reassurance that not only will I have my position back after I returned back from maternity leave, but they wanted to give me even more opportunities to work on the launch of new service lines, the launch of new solutions. And that gave me the confidence that the firm actually values me and believes that I can still contribute even when I'm back from my maternity leave. All the while they were very, very flexible. And I think that's very important to me. What that really made a difference in me coming back to work and still being successful in my role was the flexibility that KPMG provided me. They let me choose when to return back to work, how I return back to work. Is it 100% I'm off and then 100% I'm back on again? No, they let me gradually come back into work, get involved into business development, gave me the choice to work part-time because they understand that every situation is different. My situation was very different than, let's say, another individual that is going through, becoming a new mom. And that flexibility that they provided to me was very, very important. And the fact that they trusted me to come back and be a successful example to all of the other females that we do have in our organization, that you can be a successful leader, even though you're just returned back from maternity leave. So I think that is something that, I really found KPMG to do a fantastic job in. And it really came from the tone at the top, my direct conversations with the CEO of KPMG. And this is a very, very important value that we would like to uphold. And the way they handled it was incredible. And I think, going forward, if you look at it, most organizations have learned how to be more flexible to meet the needs of their employees in the past 1 year. The working from home option. So as we recover from the pandemic, what I would like to see is organizations actually continue to demonstrate their commitment to providing more flexible working arrangements to all employees, but more importantly to working mothers, because it is so important to have a happy woman at home be able to contribute effectively in the working environment as well.
Thank you so much, Maryam, for sharing your personal experience. And I think what's really important there is that this is very much driven by values and stewardship from the leadership, and it's a long-term solution. It's not just with the HR department, it's not just policies and giving that option, it's creating that space, that open space to take that leave and to, that flexibility allows you to also be productive and get engaged and really get back into the work that you said that you love. And I think many of us females feel this as well, especially as you get older and have different family commitments, is how do you show that you're still committed to work, but also need to balance these commitments? And I think KPMG is a leading company in doing this, and in the Gulf region as well, there's a lot of look at this work-life balance. And the Pearl Initiative and NAMA research from 2019-2020 found that here in the Gulf region, only 46%, or actually higher than other areas, but 46% of women believe that their organizations help women achieve work-life balance. 46 is actually quite good here in the Gulf region. And I really wanted to turn it a little bit also to Rana's experience in Saudi Arabia, because one way is to support, of course, the work-life balance for working mothers and those with family commitments, but also touching on female values and philanthropic work. And Rana, I know you can talk quite a bit about that with your experience in NESMA. What are other ways that you can help shape company policies to help females flourish?
Actually, again, I can start from the vision that Vision 2030 aims to increase women participation in the labor market or workforce from 22% which is actual, to 30% by 2030. Also, the number of female leadership, especially in worldwide, not only in Saudi Arabia, is less than male or men. So any senior leadership must to have a commitment to employing the both gender according the competences between them, and the empowering women putting in consideration. The duty of this leadership in everywhere is to include their plan for the future leadership, including program for women. And it's required the management to define those positions and focus on women's program, because actually, Rania, in all companies, they have a plan for the future replacement for the people who will be in the next generation in that chairs. So people has to gain the opportunity for women in this visibility job, where women can learn leadership skills, and they have to merge them. It's exactly what happened in my personal experience. Some people ask me, why, Rana, you learn a lot? Why you have fast adaptation? Actually, I was lucky to merge with the experience and high-level persons, however, partners or the owners or clients, with high-level people who I learned direct from the experience source. And it was like a sponge when take the water and adapt shaping. Whenever you merge the women in young age, she will be able to adapt this and to learn more, and she will be in the right time able to handle the leadership position. So every department in organization and HR has to focus that if you have a plan for the future, you have to consider the percentage of female there. For the another side, when we look to the success of the job that women handle it in the leadership, to be honest, Rania, not because we are in the International Women's Day celebration or something, women's achieved, and I am here, you are there, and Maryam, Reimbunce, we have a beautiful example in Saudi Arabia for women who leads very high and sensitive position, like Princess Rima bint Bandar bin Abdul Aziz. She is our ambassador in USA, and she is really represent our Saudi culture, Islamic religion, and our diversity and inclusion culture. And I'm always give example by her because she really lead Saudi women as a good example and as a role model. Let me give you a personal experience happening with me in NASMA that I will include here. How much the leadership in the beginning supported me as an NASMA leadership, as a president today, Faisal Turkey, and he was the president of NASMA Airline. And when the vision come, how much this company empowerment align with, when it's aligned with the country empowerment, it's amazing for me as a woman from Saudi Arabia. Actually, this is very personal experience that in 2016, in the end of that year and beginning of 2017, NASMA has a trip for the all executive with the vice president in that time, who is the president today, Mr. Faisal Turkey, to Hayel, to have the flight license in Saudi Arabia as a NASMA airline. I was the general manager of one of the company as a non-profit organization. And I was the only woman between the CEO's colleague as a male. And I get invited to that event. So I went with them and with Mr. Faisal. When we arrived Hayel and we arrived to the Chamber of Commerce gate, they tell us that women not allowed to be inside because it's very high level an event, and there is no another women there. So our president politely asked them that she is one of my team and she is a member of us. She has to be there. So then they let me enter and they give me a specific place to sit there to be attended. And I was glad. And as Maryam said, I feel that act make me confidence today. That act make me today grateful to them in NASMA to build that confidence in me. When the proud come, in the same year, Rania, the Chamber of Commerce sent me invitation in Hail, the same Chamber of Commerce in Hail in the same year, 2017, because our vision is not only talk, because our vision is not publication in the media, because our Saudi vision is has a real impact and effective action. They sent me invitation and my photo was hung there on the wall with my colleague, who is, most of them are not female, they are a male consultant in the Small and Medium Enterprise Authority Munsha'at in Saudi Arabia government. And they invite me as an executive volunteering consultant to give the free consultation for female and male entrepreneur from Hail City. And I was super happy. I was super glad that the same empowerment in the nation level, and I am officially invited to be there in that Chamber of Commerce. And really, I'm grateful to our Saudi leadership as a King Salman bin Abdulaziz and our Vision Ambassador and founder Mohammed bin Salman, that he get me that happiness, he get me that honor to be invited there, and my photo hung there, and they welcoming, and who welcoming there in the gate are a female member in the Chamber of Commerce board. I was very grateful, and that's 1 year in the beginning and in the end, different accident, different something happened to me, but it was evidence to me and to everyone around me that this vision is really real, and it will work and it will do a lot. And since 2017 and today we are in 2021, see, we are in different level. And today I represent my country here with someone from Oman, someone from Emirates, someone from Bahrain, and I'm very glad to represent my country here with you in Pearl Initiative. Thank you, Rania. And it was very personal things, but it's very close from my heart.
Rana, we really appreciate you sharing that really personal experience. And I think it's incredible to show how much changes in 1 year and how it's also driven from the vision and stewards of also male leadership. And this really also leads to a key question, is that when we talk about female advancement in the workplace, I want to touch on really two things. Is the role of course, the others in really understanding males in this instance, that it's really important that we have equality so that we can build a sustainable economic growth within the companies and within countries. But I also want to touch on, as both of you are female leaders now and have benefited from really visionaries of companies and countries and leaders, you as a female leader now, where are areas that you see where you provide support to other females as they're going up? And what are part of that new culture that's developing as we're having this pipeline of female leaders like yourselves? Either one who wants to start.
I'll start with that, Rania. I think it's a very good point. But first, let me just answer your first question of the role of males in promoting gender equality and having more gender balance in the workforce. It's a personal story. I have, throughout my career, only had male mentors, male sponsors. They believed in me. Maybe it's because there weren't that many female leaders when I was, progressing through my career, but it just so happened that they were male. Without males, we cannot do this, right? We depend on them. We need to obviously, yes, now as female leaders, we need to now sponsor more female leaders within our organizations, in our countries, in our regions. So I think that is a very, very important point to bring up. Then your second question on what can we do now? It's a very good question. And I think in my career, I have seen some instances of other female leaders that, because they had to work so hard to reach where they are, they become somewhat territorial. they don't like it if another woman comes in and potentially can be a contender or a competition. But I think we need to take a step back and look at how have males been able to achieve such amazing leadership posts. It's because they help one another. You know, they are able to support one another, they sponsor each other, they create deals together in business, they promote other males, etc. And we need to do the same thing. Let's make sure that we're sponsoring each other. So what I'll give you an example. In KPMG, we have created a new mentorship program for females, and males can also be mentors, but it's dedicated for female candidates to bring them into specific leadership positions. And this mentorship is supposed to help them to upskill in certain areas of development, to bring them new opportunities, to get them exposed to additional solutions that we as KPMG provide. So very recently, KPMG is segregated into 3 different departments. So we have an audit, tax, and advisory division. I'm in advisory, but what I'm doing now is bringing in some of my female colleagues from the audit practice and getting them exposed to what I do, and what is the need of the market. And I think that has, it hits very close to home for me, because I was lucky enough to have amazing mentors, but maybe others don't necessarily have that. So to be able to give that opportunity to these lovely ladies who are so skilled and so amazing in what they do gives me a lot of pleasure. So I think if organizations can think about that, and the female leaders that we have today, if you can go out of your way and to support other females, it is a great initiative, and we should all be very welcoming of that.
No, that's a really great point. I mean, from the old boys club to, I guess, the old ladies club, how do we get there, and how do we informally now start supporting each other, but also build in those mechanisms as well? And I think, Rana, I think with the increasing pace of how Vision 2030 was rolled out, what are other areas that females have also been able to showcase their value? Some of our audience, and we encourage more questions from the audience, mentioned, what are the values? How can we showcase female values in the workforce, and unique aspects of female values that maybe historically hasn't been showcased in the corporation? So Rana, I want to you, because you spoke a lot about the growth of corporate social responsibility and corporate citizenship. And I know, Maryam, we spoke about this before as well, to be integrated into business practices. So if you want to touch on that, Rana.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, in NESMA, empowering women in villages is one of the very long time vision NESMA started by the founder, and today by our VP, the head or chairperson of the CSR committee, which is Ms. Noura Turki. She is believe in empowering women in all levels, even the laborers and women in villages who is very far from the centers or the main cities, which opportunity of work available there. She believes in women ability, even person with disability. And today she is leading this vision, and she is very keen to empower and duplicate and copy that experience to have empowering each woman in villages in Saudi Arabia. I know it's nation and big vision, but the beliefs she have, not only to specify the women in village, even the women in offices as a professional women. We were in 2018 part of the Takafo initiative, which is launched by a Nahda Research Society, Nahda Society Research Center. That initiative aimed to measure the equality opportunity in the workplace between male and female, and it's named Takafo because of that. That vision is very important, and the initiative produced that report in 2018, and NESMA was a part of that because of beliefs of Ms. Noura that we have to measure our companies. We have to see if we are care about women's there. that is CSR, a non-profit activity from us as a corporate communication leading by her, and CSR. But this is another side to look for women opportunity or equal gender in workplace. And as a CSR, as I told you, the factories in villages and employment women there was very important and still very important for us to do. Actually, we are maybe the only Saudi company who lead this long time ago, since 2009. And today, the CAFO initiative, which aims to support Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030 to identify this area, and where policy and HR role is very important. And I'm happy to announce here in this stage that we will be also with the CAFO in the second round 2021 now, in their TACAFO report. It's really important initiative, and they're doing really good research to execute that report, and all governments and private sector will get benefit from that. And thank you so much, Rania, for that very important question.
And thank you for sharing as well how females can contribute to the enabling environment, to the applied research, and to make the business case time and time again that having female in the workforce and female leaders is good for business, is good for the community, is good for the environment, and leads to sustainable economic growth. I think that's so important, and something that is not done a lot. And I think this also leads to my next question is, you know, we still don't see as many females in leadership positions as we want. And so, you know, the UAE and Saudi Arabia, and particularly the UAE, what they're doing now is really pushing for females on corporate boards. And I really wanted to direct this question to you, Maryam, because, you know, we talked about this is a regulation and a policy. Is this a checkbox exercise, or how can companies really use this ambitious push to have more female corporate boards? And what's required to really make a change in the organizations and companies?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, look, the positive news is that from a regulatory perspective, the UAE has now mandated that at least 20% of board candidates should be female on all listed companies. A very similar regulation has also been released by the Central Bank of UAE. So we're on the right track, and we're seeing the UAE national agenda to promote more female leaders, especially on corporate boards. But as you rightfully mentioned, Rania, we need to make sure it's not a checkbox exercise. This is not supposed to be, an entity saying, I've met my quota of female directors and therefore I am compliant. So before I get into what exactly organizations need to do to make sure that this is not treated as a checkbox exercise, I want to distinguish between two terms. And these are terms that we keep on throwing around over the past few years: diversity and inclusion. It's one thing to say that I have a diverse board. You can have multiple females sitting on that board. It's another thing to say I have an inclusive culture at the board. Inclusion means you speak up, your voices are heard, you are respected, and you are valued. So these are two different things. And in order for us to truly get the value out of female leaders on boards and to benefit from their vast and diverse knowledge and expertise, we need to listen. We need to make sure that we respect them, and we need to make sure that we're putting the right female candidates on these boards, and you're not just treating this as a quota exercise. So the point is, we need to create an environment and platforms to ensure that female board members have the right skills and knowledge, and that their voices are heard in the boardroom. In order to do that, you need to start from the ground up. You need to create more female managers, more executive, more CEOs, more female CFOs, more females in the roles of heads of risk management, heads of strategy, because those are the types of skill sets required on a board, right? So unless you actually create that opportunity for these females from an earlier stage in their career, you're not going to achieve the intended benefit of having a diverse and gender balanced board. So that's really the only way I foresee this actually working. And we need to recognize that this is a long-term journey. You cannot fix it in a snap of a finger within 1 year, because it's an investment that you make in females from the time they start their career. You retain them through examples that I gave in my previous discussion, and through various programs that organizations can have, up until the point that you have those ready chief level executives who can then be ready to take on the board, the board positions. I'll also tell you about, in KPMG, what have we done, and this is actually a recent program that we're in the process of launching. We're launching the Next Generation Board Program. And the intent of this program is to develop the required technical and behavioral skills of potential board candidates around various topics, including corporate governance, risk management, financial statement, accounting, strategic thinking, as well as behavioral skills, so boardroom dynamics, negotiation skills, etc. So this is an example of how KPMG is supporting the community to create and boost the existing competencies of potential board candidates, including females, in order to make sure that they're ready for that role. So again, it's a long-term journey. We're on the right path, but there's still a lot more work to be done.
I really loved what you said about it needing to be inclusive and being listening to and really respected and heard, and that this is a long-term journey. It's not going to be a change that happens overnight. But I think also, to Rana's point as well, when you have that will and that stewardship and leadership, and it really runs across, and this is the key thing that we're hearing again and again, is that it's not just about policies and frameworks. Those can help, but you need to have constant engagement at all different levels in order to do this long-term shift and long-term change that's required. And that leads me to another question that that we're getting from the audience is, what about for an organization that hasn't put anything in place? Where do you recommend for females in certain companies to be advocating for and looking to set up, where they are maybe not in companies that have embraced some of these progressive ideas, like in NESMA or in KPMG? Any advice you have to those out there that are in companies where perhaps they don't just realize the importance of this, and how do you recommend for them to kind of speak up or bring about this change within their organization? I think you're on mute.
Sorry. So my point of view is, so where to start in basically creating that platform for the organization to understand the benefits of having gender balance. Is that the question? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So as you said, it starts from the top. Unless you don't have the senior leadership support, it's not really going to get implemented well. And it may get implemented in pockets, but that's not really how you're going to achieve the final strategic objectives of having proper gender balance, right? So you need to make sure that the senior leadership is on board, and not just through, as you said, creating a policy that just creates dust over time, and maybe I'll give you an example. I've seen organizations that actually have a policy around recruitment. So for every position that is available, you make sure that you also assess a female candidate. But what if you're not actually screening the right candidates? What if on purpose you're choosing individuals that won't actually pass the skill sets just to get the male counterparts in? So who sits on those panels? I think that's an important element, right? So really, if you want to have a proper policy around gender balance, you need the senior leadership support. You need to be able to convince them first, then you drive the policies. But implementing those policies is the most critical and challenging element. And it would take, to be frank, sometimes years to be able to implement them, but that's really the right approach.
Yeah, it can be an uphill battle, and as you said, it needs to come genuine, but be part of the values and stewardship of that leadership there. Rana, what about in your experience? Because there's so much change happening across the kingdom, it must be, yeah.
But in my opinion, from my experience as a leadership here in the country and NESMA as well, I think we will empower women, yes. But as Maryam said, I really agreed with her. the women, when she come to ask to be in the front line, she has to convince people that she is valued. If not work one time, Rania, it deserves to do it 1 and 2 and 3. Let them need you. Let them calling you. Let them running after you. Be yourself. Really, we are in time of the vision. That's all the policies and regulation in our side. But that not mean that we will sit and we will wait people to call us or just please open for us the door. You have to knock the door 1 and 2 and 3. And you have to be smart enough to focus. What is your target? What is the door that you have to go to? And what is the opportunity in the place? Because Rania, as a consultant in Munsha'at, me today, the opportunity for women between the fresh graduate and the leadership one, and sometimes for my friends who come from out of the country with more qualification that the companies or the government needs, they have to be clever where they will be and where they can use themselves, where they can raise themselves. The country give us everything. And today, if the company give or not give, believe me, there is no perfect place. There is no perfect policies. If the policies serve you, maybe the leadership, no. Maybe if the leadership serve you, the colleague or the direct manager will be across your way. You don't know. So what I believe here from my experience, especially working with women, that the women, even if she is a tailor, she wanna raise herself, she wanna show her quality, she wanna to show her touch, she can do that. And she has to do it by herself, because if there is a struggle there or certain before to cover her, today all the certain is open and everything is ready to her. But she has to convince, as Maryam said, I really agreed with her. Even if you do a super program, for me as a leader, women, I will not choose or select the female if the male qualification more. I want my work and my department outcome and impact going well, not to do a components of female company. So actually, this is very important advice. I give it to the all Arabian women in all countries, because I know that the environment is similar everywhere. So, and I know that our culture is very close. So this is really very honest advice I give to them.
If I can just add to that as well, Rana, you bring up such a valid point. And to be honest, if you compare what we have to go through as women to prove ourselves and our skill sets, men don't necessarily have to do that. I mean, when I was giving the example of the board, women have to go out of their way to prove that, yes, I have this qualification, this is my education, this is the years of experience I have in order to qualify to sit on the board. Whereas all of their male counterparts, they don't necessarily have to go through that. It's just, I don't know, a given or anything. It's not fair. We need to admit that it's not fair, but unfortunately, it's really the only way to get that seat. And hopefully, once we do correct this gender imbalance, then we don't have to fight that uphill battle. But it is an uphill battle, and we need to go through it. So your advice is absolutely valid, but it's something that we just need to tackle. So you need to upskill yourself and be ready.
Thank you. Another point, Maryam, very nice, which is upskills. Really, let me talk about this a little bit, that when I look myself, that the founder opened this opportunity to me to be one as a one of company's general manager, and now I'm the corporate communication. The first things after 1 year in this position come to myself. I don't want to promoting more. I don't want to come VP. I don't want to come chef. I want to be good in my work. I want to show women in my position. I want I ask my company that I want to study. I want to up my skills in the communication. And now my graduation is after 1 month from the Master of Corporate Communication from one of the excellent university in Europe. And my company support, but after my consist that I needed, they said, Rani, you are perfect, you are okay. I said, no, I want to be the most perfect communication in Saudi Arabia. So this is how you convince, this is how you fill your chair, then they will feel you. They will call you to come in the board. And I'm sure this will come soon. I didn't hear it real, but this will come to you. You will focus in yourself. People will see you. And this is really, I agreed with you, Maryam. What's your last question, Rania? I see the time is running.
How did you know? You know, we can keep going on, and the rah-rah is so important, you know, and it goes back to some of the points you made earlier. Business case in terms of this pandemic and how businesses have been resilient has been because women have been having to be resilient and really push against so many boundaries. And we continue needing to innovate and create and push and be better, but that will also be better for our economies and our countries. And I wish we could get to some of the other questions, but I think we're going to end on this last question to both of you. Looking forward into the near future, how do you see the role of women developing in the workplace here in the Gulf region? Rana, I'll start with you.
Okay. Actually, I just participate to several programs. And sometime I will tell you a secret here, you and Maryam and the attendees, that sometime I participate to a leadership program or some of the short days program who collects most of the leadership in Saudi Arabia or Gulf region, just to make more connection, just to know more faces, just to be aware about the leadership capabilities. And I noticed something, Grania, about the banking and financial field, that most our female talented and leadership position, and no one know about them, they are brilliant in banking and financial. We have very good example that Rania Mahmoud Nashar, one of the, she was the Samba CEO since 2017 until 2020, and today she is advisor and very important investment authorities in Saudi Arabia. And there is a lot of talent. I need them. Maybe I was the only who is marketing and communication, and most of them in this very difficult and hard sector for me. I don't like finance and I don't like banking work, which is related to money, but I'm really proud that, and I believe, Rania, and maybe you will record this meeting, so you will come to me after 2 years to tell me, Rania, you said that it's right or not right. But really, as a consultant in human development economic, I see the future in banking and in financial field is for women to lead in Saudi Arabia. Maryam, what is your opinion?
I was just going to stress on that. So in my role, I actually am the lead for financial services in KPMG in our risk consulting practice. So I deal with bankers and financial institutions all the time. And, you know, in my career up until now, I have seen that it's a heavily male dominated industry. But I would say in the past 2 years or so, we're seeing significant changes in the senior leadership levels to be more, woman positions. As an example, one of the leading one of the largest global banks in the world, Standard Chartered Bank, their CEO is obviously Rola. And she's been there in that role for a few years in the UAE. And obviously the most recent appointment of Hana Al-Rostamani as FAB's new CEO is another groundbreaking announcement, right? Because it just demonstrates that the largest banks are putting women in the most senior executive positions, and they're actually adding so much value, and they're changing the entire bank strategy for the better. So that's incredible to see. So if we could do it in the banking sector, imagine what else we could do with all the other industries and the roles that women, we haven't tapped into those markets yet. And so just look at the opportunities that we have. It's tremendous.
Good that we agree. Maybe they will have later committee from female banking sector between Emirates and Saudi Arabia. You don't know where this discussion is starting here because of Rania.
Because of all of you and the incredible women that came before us and after us as well. I can't find a better way to end this incredible conversation except on this optimistic note of breaking the glass ceilings for the banking and financial sector and so many more forward. Really, thank you so much, Maryam and Rana, for your time, for your inspiring and thought-provoking conversations based on your really sharing your personal experience in this upward mobility, journey that you've had in your careers and your support for other females as we continue to do this. And I want to give a special thank you as well to Her Excellency Reimbunce for her incredible remarks and Nama for the constant support that we've had. Thank you to our audience for your engagement and your participation and your questions, but also your statements to really push and inspire all of us as we continue this journey. If you're looking for more similar webinars on similar topics, particularly on diversity and inclusion, we encourage you to visit the Pearl Initiative website. We have an upcoming webinar on diversity and inclusion strategies with a real focus on the inclusivity aspect on March 29th. And you can always reach out to us via website, social media channels, or email. Thank you again to everyone for your participation. We hope that you please stay safe and healthy, and a happy belated International Women's Day to females and males alike. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Rania. Thank you so much, Maryam. Thank you so much
for
you.
Thank you, everybody, for all of this. Really appreciate it. It was a pleasure to be here.
Pleasure to have you all. Have a great day, everyone.